Hi guys, welcome back. That took me quite a bit longer than I anticipated. I might have to drop one of the things I was going to do today, but the thing we were going to go see wasn't even in the East Riding. It was on the opposite bank. Ticking off boxes is just for fun, really. I don't suppose it matters if we get 10 bridges or 10 telephone boxes. It's just the fun of searching for them. So the next place we're going isn't very far at all, and it was somewhere I didn't even know anything about until this morning when I was doing a little bit of research. It's a church I've passed, giving the game away, aren't I? It's a church I've passed a few times in the past. Thought about calling in and visiting. Anyway, when I read about it today, I thought, yep, it's a must. It's so basically the border between the two counties follows the River Ouse up to the outskirts of York. And then York was, I think I read this morning, it was a county in its own right. It wasn't part of any of the other three counties. And then the border would go around York and then pick up the River Derwent. So this is where we're going next. Stillingfleet. We're about 4 miles from York now. The A19's just a mile or two that way. I'll take you down to Doncaster. Does it go up to Middlesbrough? At Sam Smith's pub, I think, here it's been empty for ages. Anyhow, here we are. I'll leave the dog. I think she'll be safe enough. I'm going to unfasten her so she's free, and going to leave her for 10 minutes. I might even have to take my boots off, I think. So this stream here runs down into the River Ouse in a mile or so, and the whole thing, when it floods, creates a huge, well, not a huge lake, but it creates a lake, I think going both ways. Yeah, she's fine. There is the dog. I've seen it once in flood. I was going to bring my drone. Yeah, it floods at both sides, I think. The lamps were erected in 1902 to commemorate the coronation of King Edward VII. That's what that one says. And then the lamps were replaced in 1992. And then again in 2022. Which lamps? Ah, the lamps. One thing the dog is very good at is sitting quietly in the car, but I don't like to leave her in the car in some places. The lamps. Yeah, it's one at each end. Good idea really. People who are walking over here, because as you can see there are no street lamps in this village. Oh, I got off to a bit of a ropey start, to be honest. This commemorates the Great Flood of 1947. Oh, that was the one that flooded, blimey. Kindness of Captain Boyle for the loan of the boat and Mr. Elcock and his crew. Depth of water 21 feet. And there's a mason's mark there on the bridge. That was the flood, wasn't it? That the whole of large parts of Holland were flooded, and large parts of Lincolnshire and the Fens were all flooded. Snowdrops. Good to see. Let's have a look at this church then. (42) to Selby bus station. An hourly service at the beginning of the day, and then is it 2 hourly through the day. The earliest recorded church reference was made in 1244, but it's thought that this now Grade 1 listed building was built around 1154. If you haven't noticed already, this is what it's famous for. This Norman arch and this door is actually 1,000 or more years old. St Helens is famous for its fine south doorway consisting of 5 orders decorated with foliage, beak-heads and a chevron pattern. Curiously, the earliest representation of the south view of 1776 shows no detail of the elaborate doorway, but only a simple porch. So the door that's on at the moment is not the door's inside. It was taken off a few years ago, sent to London to be restored, and then when it came back, I think quite wisely, they put a more modern door on the outside. Fabulous yew tree there. I'll walk around the outside first before I go in. Wrong door, guys. And thankfully, they don't have carpet. So I don't know much about architecture, guys, but what a beautiful little church. Put the lights on, but I'm gonna give a donation. And this is the door. It says Viking. It says it's at least 1,000 years old, but there's some discussion about how it's older than the church, but they think it may have come from an already existing church. That's Adam and Eve up there. That's incredible, isn't it? That wood. I read something, it said the wood might have come from ships brought by the Vikings. Difficult to see the back. I won't stay long. I like to usually spend a little bit of time in churches, but I'm not happy about leaving the dog. I'll come back here though, I think, when we don't have her with us. What a beautiful building. Let's get that. Oh, the back of the organ here. Right, guys. They don't have one of those QR code machines, do they? I wish fabulous, guys. Right, guys, they did have a QR code. One last look. Fabulous. Do I get out? Right guys, that's battery went flat on the GoPro, so we had to use the phone. Been about 10 minutes. I think the dog should be okay. I think I heard a barking at one point. Car steamed up. Sundial.